Of course, the businessman, they don't have any control on the natural environmental, so which is coming under the macro environmental. Natural environmental naturally available in the environmental. Because of nature only we are expecting a raw material. Because of nature only we are getting a water source, forestry. So there are different types. The nature of product, the size of the product which is going for the end consumptions level. So of course the transportation is playing a very important. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Natesh, lecturer in commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, MYSURU, the Temple of Excellence. So we are in the Unit 5, Session 1, second semester B.B.A. So business environmental. The chapter name is natural environmental, and today my agenda about the natural environmental. So you will get more clarity in the introductions, okay, and the meaning of natural environmental. So nature of physical environmental and the manufacturing and mining activity and agricultures and the trade, transportation and communications. So the last one is which is related to the technology part. So under the natural environmental, so as a businessman, they want to study the macro factors, so which is related to the natural environmental. So we don't have any control on the natural environmental. So obviously under macro environmental, natural environmental is exists. So as a businessman, they want to study. Of course, the businessman, they don't have any control on the natural environmental, so which is coming under the macro environmental. And about introductions, so no doubt any business, any organization, everybody, we are getting a natural resource, okay. So of course the natural resource, whatever you are getting, so you are trying to convert into semi goods, okay, or finished goods, whatever the customers are expecting. The businessman, they are extracting the natural resource just for converting the finished goods. Okay, so here natural environmental effort to refer the geographical, because each and every area we are finding a different resource, right? So of course the businessmen are taking an advantages to extract the materials from the natural environmental. So geographically and ecological factor which behind the controller of the enterprise, because they don't have any control. Of course, as a businessman, they are expecting a raw material from the supplier. Because of climate, because of heavy rainfall, okay, so you are not able to get the materials from the supplier. It includes natural source, weather, climate conditions and landforms, rainfall, environmental pollution. Okay, so there are different types of pollutions. We are getting more clarity about the air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, okay, so sound pollution, so which is directly affecting to the natural factors. So obviously as a businessman, they don't have any control. Okay, so moving forward, for the meaning of the natural environmental, you will get more clarity about the natural environmental naturally available in the environmental. Because of nature only we are expecting a raw material. Because of nature only we are getting a water source, forestry. So there are different types, right? So the natural environmental include mineral, forest and water and land. Everything we are depending on the natural environmental, so which influence the business activity. Okay, obviously as a businessman, they want to study much more clarity about the natural environmental factors. Okay, so this resource not made by the human being, so which is available, which is freely available in the environmental. So few resource will be renewable, okay, non-renewable. So our natural environmental is an environmental which includes several natural factors like climate change, okay, and the mineral, soil, landform, rivers, ocean, okay, cosmos, etc. There are many things we can get, we can expect from the nature, okay. So these natural factors directly influence on the functioning of a business. Because of any manufacturing sector, if you take example, if they are planning to go for manufacturing, they are depending the raw material, so which is chemical materials, okay, so solid item, non-solid item, so everything they are depending on the nature. So nature of the physical environmental. So again the nature of the physical evidence, we are finding in the nature. So definitely water on the earth, even the atmosphere, climate and weather, okay, so different types of business are operating. So every businessman are depending on the nature. So effect on the global warming, okay, even the ecosystem which is completely related to the nature. Under impact of natural environmental on business, so how the manufacturer which is completely depending on the natural environmental, because we are getting the raw material from the nature, right? So that's what, so the process of converting a raw material, the consumers are always expecting a finished product. So when the manufacturing industry, they are getting a raw material from the nature, so which is supplied by the supplier, the raw material which is going for the further process like conversions, okay, so either it is a semi conversion, okay, now here the components and parts, spare parts, finished goods, so we are trying to go for the conversion process, so the manufacturer obviously they want to go for converting, okay, so that meet the customer expectation. So the raw material the consumers are not purchasing, there are always the consumers are purchasing for the finished goods, right? So the conversion process will be taken care by the manufacturer or specification. It is the purpose of converting raw material or semi-finished goods into finished product. So there is a lot of process are involved for conversion, either if you are taking chemical industry, okay, so there are too many processes are involved, right? So we need to depend on the nature resource, okay, obviously manufacturer are depending on the raw material from the raw material can be solid, raw material can be liquid mode. So obviously the final product if you want to produce, so the raw materials we are getting from the nature, so that's what the businessman they want to go for, so which is one kind of which is one kind of environment very important for the businessman. In the business example, SR required for its manufacture, labor is required, and the factory machine, iron, steel, rubber, plastic, and non-perishable materials. So, which is related to the manufacturing concern. Obviously, we need to depend on the nature of environmental. Okay, moving to the mining activity. So, here we are getting a lot of chemical extraction, petroleum product, everything, the mining. So, we are extracting from the nature, right? So, mining is the extraction of valuable minerals, other geological materials from the earth, usually from the orebed, lode, veins, stem, place deposit. So we are not only getting an iron, not only copper, not only chemical item, so we are extracting from the nature. So this deposit form the mineralizing package that is economical interest of the miner. So when we are extracting, we need to involve the lot of process, right? So the mining industry, what they are doing, they are extracting the valuable things from the earth, right? So example, the petroleum company required to crude oil, so which is extracted from the earth, right? So because each and every country are having a different source of natural resource, okay, so even state also having a different, city also having a different resource, so we need to depend on at the time of go for extraction. Under agriculture, even the agriculture, so we are getting a fruits, vegetables, the agriculture related product which is also expected from the nature, right? So agriculture refers to all of the MAM's activity related to the cultivation of soil. So each and every soil is very, okay, the nutrition content will be different, right? So, and those activity are directly depends upon the soil, such as the production of vegetable, crops, feeding, breeding, so etc. The agriculture activity also influence on the business activity, because not only we are depending on the manufacturing product or capital good, so even the consumers are depending for agriculture product. So obviously we are expecting from the nature, so depend upon the soil, depend upon the area, geographical location, so each and everything we are finding a different variations we are finding. So activity of GRP, culture product, and the raw material for the various business. Example, the cotton is the raw materials of the garment industry. So because the cotton we are expecting from the nature, right? So that's what which is coming under the agriculture factors. Moving for the trade, so even there are a lot of we are try to do for the local trade, national trade, international trade. No doubt we are depending on the natural environmental here. So it refers to buying and selling of goods and service, because they are trying to purchase materials, raw material from the supplier, so which is one kind of buying process, because you know the marketing functions, what and all you are familiar. The same thing here, the buying and selling process. from one country to another country, because when we have any scarcity of any materials, we are depending on other country where it is available. So if you take an example for the petroleum product, we are getting from the Arab country, right? So easily the trading activity also help to business to sell their goods foreign country. When we have an abundant source, we are trying to export for other country. Example, tea is an import from the Assam, jute is a West Bengal. We are taking only example within our country. So there are different sources are available for a different state, right? So obviously the maximum tea we are expecting from the Assam. So coming to the transportation and communication, what is the contribution, what identified, we are identified in the natural environmental. So the transportation refers to the process of production place to consumption place, because whatever you are producing, the nature of product, the size of the product which is going for the end consumptions level. So of course the transportation is playing a very important. Again, the road construction, how they are doing, even the water, using a natural resource like water transportation mode. So we are carrying a goods, okay. So the communications refers to exchange of facts, feeling, thoughts, message from one person to another. So which is one kind of passing a message or exchange a message. For example, I want something to buy, so I need to communicate with the seller, right? So that is the communications playing a very important role for all the field. So the transportation and communication also influence the business activity. And coming for the technology, now technology, we are standing in the corporate competitive world, so the technology is playing a very important role. So we can depend on technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purpose, especially in industry. In industry, not only we are talking related to industry, even the business are also using a technology. So the technology is a collection of techniques, skills, methods and process used in the production of goods and service in the accomplishment of objective of business. So unless you are not depending on the technology, so what and all which is updated, so everything the businessman are getting a lot of benefit from the technology, either which is a communication, sending mail or preparing a report, okay, everything technology or we are depending. Keep on watch for next section. Thank you.